thing which I've noticed in a couple of the tournaments that we've recently had. So we've had the Euros for the women, and we've had the Men's World Cup. Now, most coaches know that as soon as we really get into our coaching, when we're watching games and tournaments, we stop watching them as like just pure enjoyment. We kind of end up watching them and dissecting everything. It can be a little bit of a pain, but one of the things which I think stood out for me in both tournaments, which I really enjoyed, I really enjoyed watching the Women's Euros, and really enjoyed watching the Men's World Cup. Technique. Obviously, we're looking at the best players, so you've got to be realistic about what you're comparing your environment to. So we're not all gonna play like, Leah Williamson. We're not all gonna play like Lionel Messi. Do you know what I mean? But I don't think it's wrong to acknowledge the levels. So you have something that you're aspiring to. As a player, the technique was exceptional. It's been so good, and I think that in my experience working with players from the development phase, so from the ages of like 13 upwards, the technique has to be really good. And if you've got players that can only use one foot, that has to be it has to be corrected. It has to be adjusted. The first thing that needs to adjust is the mindset. So the players need to understand that, I don't want to be questioned about moving you from the left side to the right because you can only use your left foot. And that did happen in a game where I had a player and I moved them from the left to the right, and I was asked, why did you move the player? This player is only able to play with their left foot, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, well, now they're going to have to learn to not just stand on the other foot. So I think that players focusing on really improving their technique, often away from the training session, because as you're getting older, we don't really have so much time to focus on your technical proficiency. So it's something you really do need to get as good as possible and get good quickly. The variation in your passing. So we're looking at the World Cup in particular. So we're watching a lot of switches of play. The World Cup in particular. So we're watching a lot of switches of play from the middle of the field, and that's not just a punt. It's not just a big kick. That's an excellent, accurate pass over a long distance. You need to be able to do that. You need to be able to do that. So if that means you go down to the football field, the soccer field, the pitch, get some soccer balls or get one, stick it down in the middle of the field, shift it, and try to whip it in, left side and right, continuously. How do you get good? Practice. How do you get good? By seeing what it should look like and then going out and trying to replicate it and not being afraid of it looking wrong initially. But then in a game, when you repeat that, people will think, oh, that looked good. They'll have no idea that you've been putting all of that work in, but it's so important. Your technique is so important. And these tournaments, which have been excellent to watch for us as enthusiasts of the sport, but also as coaches, most of us will be looking at these games and reflecting on our own work with our own players. And if you're a player and you're watching these tournaments, you've got to start thinking, how did they get there, to that level? If that player's done that movement or received that ball in that way, changed the direction of the attack that quickly, was able to receive the ball out of the air and bang, it's there, it's exactly where they wanted it to be, it's not gone a mile away. How did they improve the themselves to perform at that level. And a lot of that is self-driven, you know. So if you're not practicing to improve your technique, coaches like me come along and we're focusing on tactical performances from you. And if you're not able to show that level of proficiency with your technique, it's going to be a challenge getting you to get good. So get good.